Venezuela is in the midst of a military buildup along its border with its smaller neighbor, Guyana. That's the assessment of analysts at the Washington, D.C. think tank CSIS after a review of commercial satellite imagery. Guyana is a country to watch. This tiny South American country is home to the world's fastest growing economy, and that growth is driven by oil. Guyana's got a lot of it. In fact, one of the most on a per capita basis. And while these discoveries are recent, Venezuela's claim to Guyana's Essequibo region, which makes up around 2/3 of Guyana's territory and sits along its offshore riches, dates back more than a century. But Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro may not necessarily be after Guyana's oil. He could be trying to deflect from his problems at home. The unpopular Maduro is up for re-election this July, and he's done everything he can to guarantee his victory, including by barring the leading opposition candidate, Maria Corina Machado, from running. But Maduro is insecure. The Venezuelan economy is in tatters, inflation remains off the charts, exacerbated by U.S. sanctions, and it continues to drive Venezuelans into desperation and millions out of the country. Now, some observers, including analysts at CSIS, warn that the crisis could go beyond Venezuela's election day. They say that if there is a political crisis after this July's elections, Maduro could manufacture a regional one with Guyana. Now, Guyana doesn't stand a chance against Venezuela's military. Its best defense is actually its geography. The Essequibo is a vast jungle, and it would be formidable terrain for Venezuela to conquer. Still, the military gap between Guyana and Venezuela is stark. Venezuela's population is nearly 40 times greater than that of Guyana, and the Venezuelan military, including reserve forces, exceeds 300,000 personnel. That's roughly half the size of Guyana's total civilian population. And Guyana's defense force consists of just around 4,000 active duty and reserve personnel. So, as many small states do when they face a threat from a bigger neighbor, Guyana is turning to a great power, the United States. Guyanese President Irfan Ali visited the U.S. in April, and in recent months, U.S. officials have stepped up visits to Guyana. CIA Director Bill Burns made an unannounced visit to the country in March, and earlier this month, 2 U.S. military jets performed a flyover over Guyana after a U.S. Southern Command official met with his Guyanese counterparts. Now, Washington should continue to quietly and carefully signal its support for Guyanese sovereignty and give its leadership the space to focus on matters at home, building a domestic political consensus in their racially divided society and a long-term plan to equitably transform its economy using its oil wealth while also addressing existential challenges like climate change. Going further than that would feed into Maduro's narrative. And given the drastic changes in the global economy and climate, Guyana has a limited window to achieve a domestic transformation. The best thing that Washington can do is help Guyana by ensuring that Venezuela does not get in its way.